everyone. My name is Hao Dinh, and for the next few minutes, I will talk you through why investing in robotics process automation is a good thing to do to enable AI, artificial intelligence success in your organization. Before we do that, let me actually share with you, for the past 20 years, I've led digital transformation for the various companies that are listed here. And for sure, during my presentation, I'm going to share some lessons learned and best practices associated to RPA and artificial intelligence deployment in these organizations that I've worked for in the past. Some key things I want you to take away from my presentation. One is I'll share with you exactly what is robotics process automation, why I think today all companies should actually deploy RPA, and then most importantly, why RPA is a good way to help you improve your success when it comes to artificial intelligence projects. And then lastly, I will provide a real-world example how I've leveraged RPA in order to enable artificial intelligence success in an organization. So first, let's start talking about exactly what is RPA, or robotic process automation. In summary, really all it is any process that is manual or paper-based, that is repetitive, that a human does. You can actually use software, RPA software, to actually digitize it and automate it so that it can still get done without involving a human. So really, that is the definition of RPA. And if you look at the market opportunity for RPA, you see here that it's in the billions, both for the software itself and also services associated with it. But most importantly, you'll see that the little back graph here shows that the growth is double-digit for the next few years. So plenty of opportunities when it comes to RPA. And the reason why RPA is actually very, is a great opportunity for organizations is, unfortunately, all organizations, I would say, still have a lot of paper and manual processes that they do today during operations. So there's opportunities here when it comes to digitizing and automating these manual paper processes. And the reason why RPA is very important for artificial intelligence success is because, as all of us are aware, AI needs digital data. And if organizations are still running their operations based on paper and manual, then you don't have the baseline in place in order to have successful artificial intelligence. So if you are trying to deploy artificial intelligence in an environment that still has paper and manual processes, it is truly moving a rock up a hill. So please keep that in mind as you think about how you're deploying AI in your organization. And what RPA does for you, and what I'll show you in the remainder of these slides, is the fact that RPA enables you to have that digital data that you need in order to have successful artificial intelligence success in your organization. And I will argue that right now is the ideal time for organizations to do RPA. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at a survey that was done by McKinsey, you see that they looked at job functions across the world and realized that, or actually the result of their survey determined that about 60% of the jobs that are out there in the world, 60% of those jobs have some components that can be automated. And then within those 60%, 30% of the tasks in those 60% of the jobs are truly manual and paper processes that can be automated. So there's plenty of opportunity, as I mentioned before, in organizations to digitize manual paper processes using RPA. And another reason why now is the right time is because if you look on the left-hand side, you see the Gartner Magic Quadrants, right? These are the leaders right now identified when it comes to RPA software. I've worked with a good number of these, and the solutions are available. And the technology's been around for a while, so that it's been proven. And most importantly, the return on investment is proven when it comes to showing that there is value and benefit to an organization when it comes to digitizing and automating manual paper processes. And then most recently, organizations or software providers, they have started developing the low-code, no-code RPA solutions, so that now, instead of waiting for IT or the digital team to do your RPAs, you can actually enable your employees to actually deploy their own automated and digitized processes. So now is the time to actually deploy RPA in your organization. So what I want to do in the remaining time is actually walk you through the example of how I've used RPA to enable AI success in my organization. Before I do that, let me bring up a term that is very important, not just in this discussion, but just any discussion when it comes to deploying new technologies, called digital fluency. And this is a term that was coined by Accenture, and it's really the mindset that you want people that are affected by technologies, the mindset that you want them to have, which is you want them to have strong digital fluency associated with the technology or the digital solution you're trying to deploy. If you look at the components that make up digital fluency, only 1 out of the 4 components is related to the technology. The remaining 3 items are change management components. These are the components associated with making sure that the people that are affected by this digital or technology truly understands what that technology is, they're trained and skilled on it, and most importantly, they truly believe that this technology or digital solution is going to make their life better. So please keep this in mind around digital fluency, because I'm going to use that during my use case example. So this example, like I've experienced in many organizations, I go in, I talk about, hey, let's do some artificial intelligence when it comes in your organization to benefit the organization. What usually happens is I get the deer at the headlights expression, where people are totally confused. And the reason is because if you think about artificial intelligence, it requires a lot of knowledge to understand how it works, and most importantly, how it benefits the organization. You need to understand the concept of big data, a lot of digital data. You need to understand the concept of statistics, algorithms, neural networks, all these mathematical formulas that are needed so that artificial intelligence can do its job, and the organization can benefit. I've noticed through my experience when you have that conversation with people who don't really have that digital fluency when it comes to artificial intelligence, it's very hard to get them bought in on it. So with that said, what I've learned is RPA is actually an easier technology discussion to have. And that's because, as I mentioned before, every job out there has some type of manual or paper process that you can actually go in and show a person how technology such as RPA can make their life easier. By doing this, what you're doing is you're helping that person understand or get a better digital fluency around the technology, showing them how technology can make their life better, the training and skills that they're needed. And RPA is really not that hard of a technology to learn. In addition to that, when you deploy RPA, you are actually generating digital data. And then you can make sure that the digital data that you're generating is of high quality. And we all know that you need high quality, large amounts of digital data in order for artificial intelligence solutions to work in your organization. So RPA is a great way to increase the digital fluency in an organization, and also start generating high quality digital data that you know you're going to need for AI projects going forward. So the example I want to share with you is around sales forecasting. The organization that I was working at had a sales forecasting process which was very manual, very paper-based. It required people going around collecting sales information on paper, and then someone manually entering in that information, and then manually sending out the data to the folks that will create Excel pivot tables to come up with their version of the sales forecast. And as you imagine, this was very inefficient, very ineffective way of doing sales forecasting. So what we did is we actually digitized this process with RPA. And at the very bottom, we actually enabled digital entry of the data. So in some cases, we integrated directly into the system that pulled the sales data. And then in some other cases, we actually couldn't connect for whatever reason, but we did allow them to enter the data via an iPad or some type of tablet. So we digitized the data entry using RPA or some automation to some systems. And then also around RPA, we're able to automatically consolidate the data and generate some forecasting reports that, again, was standardized in a way that made this process of using RPA more efficient and more high quality data when it comes to sales forecasting. So showed the value of RPA to the organization around generating sales forecasting. Through this exercise, we generated a lot of digital data, sales data, and most importantly, we educated the sales team around technology, RPA. That enabled us now to start bringing in the conversation about artificial intelligence, okay? Now that we have RPA, let's start talking about, with the sales team, how can you take all the 6 months to a year's worth of sales data, run it through an AI engine, and then have artificial intelligence come up with better forecasting reports. And because they had their digital fluency associated with RPA, and then also because we had 6 months to a year's worth of good digital sales data, we're able to show them how AI can make their life better. And then show them that, hey, previously, you only looked at 3 months worth of data and maybe 4 parameters associated with sales forecasting. Now with big data and artificial intelligence, we can use a year's worth of data, and now we can look at maybe 8 or 9 different parameters that will affect sales forecasting. A better way of looking at data so that you can get better forecasting reports, which we did generate and was able to show the sales team the power of AI. And this was all done because we started off with RPA. We use RPA because it's an easier technology to understand and actually is something that will benefit everyone in an organization. Use that as a way to increase their digital fluency, to understand technology, how it benefits them. Most importantly, start generating good digital data, and as a result, take the RPA learnings and apply that to our AI projects to produce better AI solutions. So just to wrap up, I've identified exactly what is RPA, why I think all companies right now should be working on some RPA projects, why RPA is a great way to enable AI success because it increases your employees' digital fluency and most importantly starts generating good digital data. And then lastly, share with you an example around sales forecasting, how RPA was used to enable success around using AI for sales forecasting. So I want to thank you for your time. Like I mentioned, spent the past 20 years doing digital. So I have a website that talks about all the stuff that I've done, and I have really good conversations with people, so check it out. And then I love linking in with people. So if you get a chance, please link me in, and we can have further discussions around this and other topics, all things digital. So with that said, I'd like to open up for questions.